Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina y el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Mr. Perez is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants here. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos beach. And then there's the El Dorado Restaurant and Beach Club right next door. So with Lapa Lapa and the El Dorado Beach Club, you can enjoy the fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or even during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week's guest is Jorge Zambrano Hernandez, and Jorge is the owner of the world's famous Andales restaurant and bar, and hotel, actually, at this point. It's located on Olas Altas Street, right in the middle of the romantic zone. But first, let's see what's happening this week, the 30th of August, 2018. Last week I told you that crocodiles were going wild. And I was reading a Facebook post and saw one was actually spotted right out there, right in front of a place called Swell Beach Club, right there on Los Muertos Beach. And luckily nobody was hurt. One of the waiters from Swell went running down and warned the swimmers to get out of the water until the crocodile swims away. But once again, you guys, they're out there. It's wintertime. Croc's gone wild. You never know. And so just beware. Once again, look at that. See that crocodile was looking for tequila right there in front of Swell Beach Club. I'm telling you. Anyway, I love that place. Just saying, don't stay away. Crocodile's gone, okay? All right, we're coming into the slowest month of the year in Puerto Vallarta, and that is the month of September. And as you remember last year, we talked about the nickname Septiembre, which is a combination of September and hungry. And that's what it's called this time of year. Restaurants, actually, they close. Many of them do. I should say most, but many of them do. And they take some time off before the coming high season gets there, and they got to start all over again. A lot of them, paint their restaurants. They do a little bit of remodeling and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind before you walk up to a padlocked door, okay? Daiquiri Dick's, I know, is closed for September. Bravo's is closed. Siam Thai is closed. Chenando's is closed. L'Angelo di Napoli is closed for September. I don't know if Barcelona Tapas is on vacation or not. They're doing a big, big job. They're putting in an elevator there. So I don't know if they are or not. But at any rate, check out before you venture out and just make sure that your favorite restaurant is going to be open for you. There's nothing worse than walking up to the door of that restaurant after you've thought about it for days and days and days. And then you get up there and you go, oh, now what? And then you have only about 100 or 200 other restaurants to choose from. That's the maddening part, I think. Okay. A few months back, we celebrated as Puerto Vallarta broke a Guinness Book of World Records. Remember that one? It was a record for getting together a bunch of people to drink coffee on the Malecon. Well, add another world record to the list of those in Mexico. This is from Mexico News Daily. It's dated August 21st, 2018. The world's biggest bead mosaic wins the Guinness record for the huichols. 15 indigenous artisans spent 3 months creating the 81 square meter project. Let's see here. Tuesday is dated Tuesday, August 21st, 2018. The Wixaritari people of Jalisco, we know them as huichols, have won the state's 31st and Mexico's 204th Guinness World Record with the world's largest bead mosaic, boasting an area of 81.55 square meters and a weight of 2 tons. The mosaic was painstakingly created over a period of nearly 3 months by 15 dedicated artisans from the northern Sierra town of San Sebastian. They used 250 kilograms of small plastic beads, known as chacurillas, in the process. The beads were affixed to 32 wooden boards using 48 kilograms of beeswax. The resulting mosaic depicts a female figure wearing a traditional attire of women of Jalisco, accompanied by a male figure wearing a charro suit, popular among mariachi musicians. The couple is adorned and surrounded by flowers and multicolored shapes and figures. The process was verified by staff from Guinness World Records, who paid close attention to ensure that no gaps existed during the process of joining the individual wooden boards. This was crucial to consider the end product a single piece, said Guinness judge Carlos Tapia. The goal was to surpass a 71.33 square meter mosaic created in New Orleans, but that was not made out of chacurillas. This is a new category. Speaking of mosaics, the one created by the huichols is currently the largest, he told the news agency. The Mexican people have great strength. When they set out to do something, they accomplish it. They came together as a people and always want to share this kind of handicraft with the world, Tapia said. The mosaic was presented during the International Mariachi Encounter at Guadalajara's Liberacion Plaza. And if the weather allows, the huichol mosaic will be on exhibition until September 2nd there. The event organizer, the local Chamber of Commerce, plans to auction the mosaic off and use the funds to build a classroom in the huichol town where the mosaic was created, in collaboration with the Aria Alba Foundation. Now, as many of you know, the huichols make these intricate beaded figurines. You'll see them all over Vallarta. They're beautiful, they're colorful, and they're made with these little beads, and they use beeswax to affix these beads to the base of the figurine. So, anyway, I wonder how much peyote these guys went through to get this piece of art up. Never mind. That was, is that where we go? Do we go there automatically to drugs? Anyway, we're going to talk about the huichols in upcoming episodes, and actually even a little bit later today with our guests. So stay tuned, as I like to say. Stay tuned. Now, I have other stuff, but that's going to have to wait because this interview, folks, this is a long interview. On my first trip to Puerto Vallarta in the winter of 1984, my wife, back then she was my girlfriend, Debbie, and I, stayed at Playa Los Arcos Hotel, right in the middle of the town. And across from the Playa Los Arcos, right across the street, was this raucous bar called Andales Bar and Restaurant. And, well, because it was across the street, we spent a lot of time there. After a long day of playing beach volleyball and drinking beers, we would venture across the street, lured in by the loud music and the loud guests there. It was a great spot. Ladies would be dancing on the tables and on the bar. And I don't mean like hired people. I mean people that were drinking and having a good time there. The customers, they were the ones dancing on the bars and the tables. And then there were other ladies that would roam around, through the crowd with bottles of tequila, and they would pour shots down the willing gullets of people They would blow their police whistles, and they performed their ritual shake of the head, and then the spank on the rear end of the recipient, just to make sure, I guess, that the tequila went down, the right way. It was a fun time. And back then, there were many, many nightclubs in Puerto Vallarta. There were more then than there are now, I think. But most of them are long gone. They were fancier places with big cover charges. And like I said, most of them are gone now, but not Andales. Andales is still going strong, mostly because they were then, and they are still today, a friendly place to come in and have a good time. They don't care what you're wearing. They don't charge a cover. And it's just fun, fun, fun. There's plenty of old timers, actually, that, who actually came to Puerto Vallarta in those old, the early days, like I did in the 80s, that remembering those fun times are drawn back to relive those days of Puerto Vallarta past. And to their surprise, if it's been a long time, they will find that Andales is pretty much the same. So in May, on a Monday morning, I wandered down to Andales to see if I could find the owner. JR told me to look for him, that he would be down there around breakfast time, and ask for Jorge, ask for George. And so I did. And to my surprise, someone brought him over to me, and we had a little talk, and he agreed to talk with me. So this particular Monday morning, Jorge was getting ready to go with a group of fellow Rotarians. I don't know if you know what a Rotarian is, if you know what Rotary International is. It's one of these service clubs. They're like the Lions Club, the Kiwanis Club, and there's the Rotary Club. These are probably the biggest major fundraising organizations that I can think of. Anyway, Jorge was getting ready to go out with this group of Rotarians, and they were going to feed about maybe 150 people, 100 or 150 people. It wasn't at a restaurant. They were feeding them. They were going to go do this charity work, delivering food to this group out in, I think they were in El Petial. I'm not sure. So with that in mind, he sat down with me for the interview, which, as it turns out, was just the beginning of the interview, because I went along with the volunteers to volunteer myself after I got about 15 minutes into this first part of the interview. And then actually, while I was there doing that interview inside of Andale, Jorge was greeting people as they came in. These volunteers would come in, and he would greet them, and he would say, "Hey, come get a little medicine." He'd treat them to a little margarita or a shot or something like that before they took off to feed the people, which was kind of cool. A little buzz before feeding the masses. Why not, right? So let's go right down to one of my favorite places in Puerto Vallarta. As I have said, Andale's Bar and Restaurant and now Hotel on Olas Altas, right in the middle of everything in Puerto Vallarta. Let's go to a place where everybody is normal. And let's meet my new friend, and now yours, George Zambrano, the owner of Andales. Jorge, thank you so much for inviting me to Andales today.
It is a pleasure to have you here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Are you from Puerto Vallarta?
Almost. I was born over the hills in a little town called Ayutla, which is next to Juchitlan. And the communities and they're still there, and we go and visit often.
And so how far away are we talking about?
We're talking about 4 hours away from here each way.
Uh-huh. Okay. And so when did you come to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, before I came to Puerto Vallarta, I went to L.A. I was in L.A. and I was lucky to go to Venice High School, Culver City High School.
Ah.
And I grew up in that area there.
Uh-huh.
And I always went to school there, but I also had the opportunity to represent companies that have been in business for a long time. And one of them that is well known is called Specialty Restaurants. And the owner of it, his name was David Talachet. He was a Second World War pilot. There is a well-known place in LA across from LA Airport called the Proud Bird.
Yes,
And
of
it's
course.
right in Aviation Boulevard. And it's very impressive because he went and got the Second World War planes that they use. As far as I know, I remember that I used to go and pick him up at the airport. His name was David. Very simple man. He was born in Texas. And I used to go and get him from the airport to the Proud Bird. It was so funny that instead of using the phone in his own office, he used to go and pay the payphone, and use coins, you know. I said, my God, look at this. He's a special guy, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have a very nice admiration for him because he still had those companies, the family is still going, and they have given a job to a lot of people worldwide
Wow.
from all over. It's
Who
called
knew?
Specialty Restaurants.
Interesting.
And I start helping them in the marina, which at that time was called Pieces of Eight. But also it was another place in Santa Monica that it was called, I remember in a minute. I remember in a minute. But anyway, it was a lot of people that I had the opportunity to work with. And a lot of them were from Europe. And we learned a lot. This man did quite a lot. I remember that he used to have the Queen Mary that he listed
really?
for a while. And
Yeah.
then he started it with #1 restaurant in Long Beach called The Reef, which is still there.
Still there. Sure is.
And it's very impressive. I remember when I used to go and pick him up from the airport, he used to call all of us that work with him and represent his unit, his restaurants. He used to call us generals. I guess that's the way he
That was his.
grew up in his field in Second World War or whatever. But he was one of the special men still there. I told him someday if I had the opportunity, I will build a big statue, you know, with his name on it because, you know, he did give a job to a lot of people that came from a lot of different parts of the world.
Okay. So
That was California.
Yeah.
Then I went and saw different places there. I went to Santa Rosa, California. I said, well, this is not bad. Then we went to San Rafael, San Anselmo, trying to open a business there. But at that time, the licenses in the States was worth it over $100,000 because
yeah.
it was no more licenses. You had to use one that was already issued.
Yes.
So I said, well, we can go to Santa Rosa instead. But then instead of going to Santa Rosa, I said, well, we can go, you know, to Mexico too.
Yeah.
My father said, you go to the States, learn the language, become a professional, and then you come back here to Mexico because the quality of life is different. So we came back and we started in this place, as you can see here, with 3 tables after a year and a half that it took me to find a place because I didn't want to lease it. I wanted to buy it.
Ah.
So it took me a little longer than I thought.
Yeah.
And then I found it in 1979, and then I started getting it going in 1980, and we have been here since then.
Since then, so 79
Just-
and 80.
That's right. I used to sleep in the floor, and it was so funny. One time, my father came to visit, you know, from Guadalajara, where he had to move because that way all my brothers will go to school.
Ah, yeah.
In the little town that I was raised, we only had high school. Not high school. We have what do you call junior high school. We call it primaria. Therefore, we had to move to Guadalajara so we can all go to school. My father believed a lot in education. So therefore, we went to Guadalajara. From Guadalajara, I went to California. From California, I came back here. So when he came and visited, I said, well, there is a hotel room there that you're welcome to use. I pay like a yearly. That way I can use it any time, but I'd rather stay here, you know, and sleep on the floor with the other workers and had a great time. So anyway, I remember he came in and I said, there is a hotel room reservation in there for you. And then he said, never mind. I mean, it has to be tough. We sleep here. All right. So it was quite interesting because I went to sleep and I felt like I had just gone to sleep. And then he said, Now we got to go to church because the bells start going. At that time was not too much traffic and the church is 3 blocks away from here. So he said, now it's time to go to church. I said, oh my God, I just went to sleep. Never mind. Got to be tough in this life. So we went to church. It was quite funny. At that time, the church started at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Whoa.
the bells started going at 4:30, you know.
Oh my gosh.
So after that, we went to a market called Emiliano Zapata that is still there, a few blocks away from here. And we went there, and the lady was already there with the fresh tamales, fresh coffee, cacao. They had already different breakfasts, you know, fresh corn tamales and different other things in there. And it was quite impressive because I never been there that early, you know. So anyway, we went there and had the breakfast in there, and then he started talking to the butchers that had the butcher stores there.
Yeah.
And when he moved to Guadalajara, he had a butcher store, and then he used to go to all the little towns and collect all the hides. I'm very happy to share this with you because I think this is like writing a book.
Yeah.
And we haven't had the time to write a book. There is so many stories that have happened here. There is so many people that have met here. We have this Vicky Galveston from Newport Beach, the housewife of Orange County.
Uh-huh.
She comes here quite often. She gets on the tables and she's wild and crazy and she tells everybody what to do, you know. So anyway, and then they come and look for her. Well, she's gone.
Well, that's, you know,
So-
they would be disappointed. So your dad took you out
Anyway,
to the market.
we
You
went to
started
the
talking
church.
butcher.
After the church, we went to the market, and then he started talking to the butcher guys, and then he asked them, hey, what do you do with the hides? They answer in Spanish, pinches, cueros, hediondos, nobody wants it. No, nadie los quiere. He said, okay, I'm going to buy it from you guys. I never forget that because I was still thinking in dollars because I was just coming back from the States.
Yeah.
And I never forget that because he made, I think it was $39,000 just in the negotiation. He bought like a 2 or 3 trailers of all the hides they have there.
Wow.
And took it to Guadalajara. That time used to take us a whole day to get to Guadalajara and come back. No wonder he always used to say, you know, son, it's God and business and God. And that was a very important example of, listen, you know, this is how you do business, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he took all the hides, all the smelly hides, you know, back to Guadalajara. And then, obviously, he kept some of them and the other one he distributed. And then they started making, you know, the seats and all those things in there. And it made a lot of money, made a fortune. I said, you know, here I am back in California, tried to save my money to buy a house. And when you're ready to buy the house went up.
Yeah. Amazing. So
That was before when the house used to cost $40,000. I bought a property in Westchester next to Loyola University, and it cost me $40,000. Nice, beautiful duplex in there. I sold it later on for $150 because it was getting too crowded.
yeah.
And I went and bought a house in San Antonio next to university thinking that my kids will go there. But after they spent a whole year in Finland, one of them and the other one in Germany, they came back and they said, hey, we have another university that we pick up and we want to go to that one. I said, all right, well, the decision is you know, yours to be made.
Yeah.
Then I had 5 students exchanged from Europe. One from Germany, one from Belgium, one from China, one from Finland, and the other one from France. They still sending me WhatsApps. Mexican Papa, we miss you, we love you, we want to come back and live with you. Because
Wow.
I took them all over around, you know, and I introduced them as my daughters to everywhere I went, and they love it. They just came back, the one from Belgium, and did the services here to become a doctor. She just went back 2-3 weeks ago. The other one came before too from France and did the services in here too and went back. So that was a very beautiful experience to share with other people as far as family-related background culture goes.
Yeah.
And my kids just came back from there. They love it. And now they are going to the university that they chose.
Wow. Wow. All right.
And
So,
here we are. I mean, you know, there is I had a lady that came in 2 days ago. She said, can I take a picture? I said, yeah, you can take as many you want. She said, I met my husband here 29 years ago. I said, no kidding. Where are you from? She said, Canada. And where is your husband from? U.S. And where is he? She said, well, he's taking care of the kids. I said, well, then you find a good one because it's not that easy anymore, to find a good husband. So anyway, she said she came in the cruise ship just to take a picture of it.
Wow.
So there is so many stories in this place. It's amazing,
Yeah.
I mean, you look around and look at the egg cartons, and they said, hey, you use a lot of eggs to make, to build the proof sound. I say, yes, we did. But there is so many people that have meat in this place. We still have the donkeys that we used to build the place and bring the sun and bring the materials that we use in here.
Yeah.
Don Jose started it helping me here in 1980. He passed away, then his son took it over. Now his grandson is the one that brings the donkey still every day at 7:30. So it is like a neighborhood bar where you can still come and have a margarita for $2-3, what we used to be in California or in the States long time ago. And the atmosphere, there is a lot of kids, they come and look for grandpa's plate, grandpa's style, because it's somewhere around in here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got license plates, all these crazy decorations. I'm going to have pictures of his place in the show notes for this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. You'll find it at www.puertovallartatravel.com. Tell us a little bit about your menu. You serve food here. I mean, it's not just all drinks. So tell us about what kind of food you serve.
We have continental food. We have a gentleman by the name Salvatore Messina. He used to be the food and beverage director at the cruise ships. He retired. Then he came in and then we met each other, and he came in because I said, you got to find something to do. You cannot just sit there and enjoy life. I mean, you got to do something. So he came in, and he started helping us. And he was making a percentage of the sales. So we give him something to do. But very important, he used to go every morning to the market or anywhere in there to bring the fresh fish. And he made their own recipes that we still use. We have a dish called the oso buco, which is the veal chunk. My God, I mean, it's the best. And we have different recipes that he left. Then I introduced him to a nice lady that was living in San Miguel de Allende from the States. And then she came and took him away.
Oh, no.
And then now he's back in the States. But anyway, we've been very lucky to run into professionals that they share their time and knowledge, especially in food. Mm-hmm. And we still have excellent fresh homemade breakfast for 70 pesos. You're talking about $4.
Yeah.
Or so,
right.
Or less. What it used to be back in the States long time ago,
Exactly.
So
right.
Anyway, this is the difference in the atmosphere that we have created here. We have some of the employees, they have been with us since we started it 39 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
And it is quite impressive because a lot of them, they've been coming for years and years. And a lot of them, the picture is still around somewhere in here. We had David Lilly, he was a general in the army. We had Reno, that he was another Second World War pilot that came here, and now he has seen so many of them. It's just unbelievable, the stories that we have from them. And this was just like their second home.
Yeah.
They were here every single day, and they got along with everybody. They talk to everybody. I mean, everybody that goes by here with shoes or with no shoes or shorts, I mean, we all talk to one each other. That is the difference between being here and being into another place. That's why my father said the quality of life in here is different. We talk to one each other. We communicate to one each other, regardless where we are from or what we look like. And I think that is very important.
Agree.
So we've been very lucky to have different visitors from all over the world.
Right. This place originally was smaller. You said it only had a few tables.
Yes, we started with 3 tables.
So you expanded it out, obviously.
Well, it was this couple, older people living on this side, and they were the owners of the whole corner here. So when I first came in, I remember that I had a kitchen back in the corner where the men's room is now. If you go to the ladies' room, there is 2 little rooms, and there one used to be the men's, the other one used to be the ladies.
Okay.
And this is how we started it. I remember that we used to have 3 steps to come to the little place. We had to dig and then get, more space, and took the 3 steps we had off. And then I used to go and knock at the door of the neighbor. It was an older lady. I think she was 100, or who knows. I never asked. And then the husband, I knock at the door and I bring them food. So they opened the door, and then one time she said, have you bring the priest here? I said, no, why? She said, because somebody died here. No kidding. I said, no wonder. I hear some noise in the middle of the night. I wake up and I don't find anybody. Then she started blessing, She said, well, you got to bring the priest. And then I asked her, what used to be here before? She said, well, it used to be mango trees farm. And it was quite impressive because I used to bring them, their lunch food daily.
Yeah.
And then after that, they passed away and I bought the property through her son, their son. So we made it a little bit wider. And then we went up to the second and third and fourth and fifth. Now we're on the seventh level.
Okay,
but
so
all this was done by donkeys at that time.
Wow.
It is impressive because everybody was sitting at the bar and the donkey go in and out with the materials. And then they said, hey, can we offer a drink to somebody?
Yeah, you don't want your workers drunk. You want them to work.
They didn't care as far. Hey, there is dust in here. Well, so what?
Wow, that must have been some time. Having
It
the
was
donkeys
quite
in
impressive.
and,
And all the people we have had the opportunity to go through, to talk to, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's not the money here. It is the relation. You are here, we are talking to one each other, we are sharing a drink or whatever. We may see one each other again next week, next month, next year. You are going to go somewhere back in the other world. You are going to say, hey, I went to Andales. Andales, yeah, where the donkey goes.
That's right. And you guys come by the donkey naturally, obviously, because, that's your trademark, right? These donkeys delivered everything, and so that's why you still have the donkey here.
The lady that did our logo, she went to BC University. Her name is Sandy Levecas, and she lives in Vancouver. She's the one that came up with the logo in 1981. And it is quite impressive because, I don't know, you'll see the guy with the big hat, and that's the cartoons we used to have when we were in the States long time ago. Yeah. The name Speedy Gonzalez that used to say,
yeah,
arriba,
sure.
arriba, andale, andale.
Of course, yeah.
See, this is a lady, Deborah, that is from Texas. She's been here for a long time, and she comes and help us to go and deliver the food to the kids.
All right, let's talk about that. We're getting ready you are a Rotarian.
That's right.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you do to give back to your community.
Well, we started it 15, 16 years ago. We started feeding in the garbage dump. And then we got together with some other people from different other clubs, different other countries, and we built a shelter in a church area where they allow us to do. We used it for 12 years, and now we moved to another place. But I also belong to the sister cities in Santa Barbara, sister cities in Highland Park in Chicago, and different other areas in the States. And we work together in different programs, different projects.
Okay. Can you name a couple of them?
Yes. One of them, we have distributed over 6,000 water filters to different communities. We just did that 3-4 days ago. In the near future, the big problem we're going to have is the water because we are contaminated all over around. The Rotary Foundation, one of the major projects that they have been working on for many, many years, where Bill Gates have donated $600 million is in the Polio Plus. Polio Plus, we only have 2 countries left with it, which is Pakistan and Afghanistan. The only 2 countries left.
Yeah.
Therefore, we cannot stop now. We got to go on and make sure we eradicate it. Otherwise, we will have it back. But I think the water system situation is going to be something similar.
Interesting. What is polluting the water?
We, all of us, plastic, empty bottles. You name it. Everything that everywhere you go around is the plastic. The plastic takes a long time to disintegrate.
Yeah.
So that's something that we have to face. That is.
All right, so these filters, then you go into these towns, and these filters are just in for individual people?
Yes, individual family.
Okay.
It's a small filter that is made by a company called Sawyers. Sawyers is the one that made the filters for the hemodialysis filtration blood. And they came up with this filter that used to cost $62, now it costs $42. So we are going to start next Rotary year, which is in 3 months, where all the Huicholes and Nayarit, all the communities that they don't have clean water, we're going to go there, bring the filter. The filter lasts for 10, 12 years.
Wow.
And you just have to clean it with a jeringa or a system that you can clean it, and purifies the water 99.9%.
Nice.
It's been put by the laboratories here in the States and different other universities, and we've been using it for the last few years. We have different programs. We have another Kids with the Cancer program. We have another program that I'm going to take you so you can see the disabled kids. We have another program that we operate all these kids that they didn't know they needed an operation or needed glasses. We have another program which is going to be the future of the world, and that is scholarships. We have about 600 scholarships that we are helping.
Yes.
And it is very impressive because we find the sponsor to adapt the student with the condition that they have to follow up until they finish. And they build such a beautiful relation. And the money goes for $350 a year, not a month.
Wow.
So everybody said, hey, when we go and deliver the food, some people wanted to give money. I said, wait a minute, anybody can give money. But what is going to get them ahead is education. Education, education, and education.
Yes.
So we can work on that. And we've been doing that, so that's a big satisfaction.
Fantastic.
So it is quite impressive, to see there is so many stories, so many beautiful people that come from all over the world, that this is, like enjoying having a good time.
I am amazed at all the things that you do to improve the lives of others. Before we go out there, and I'm going to bring all you guys along with us, give us what you would say to a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta. What kind of advice would you say to them?
That is a very important question. First of all, recover energies, because sometimes they haven't slept for 2-3 days. Then, like Grandpa used to say, don't run, walk. You are going to get there anyway. What's the rush? After that, just enjoy life. Forget about trying to buy property. Forget about trying to buy timeshare. Forget about trying to make more money. You come here to enjoy it and have a good time. After you recover all that, then you can start thinking in something else. Remember, when you make $1, you have to share that with the government anyway. Mm-hmm. So I suggest everybody, come and enjoy it. And not only to the nice, beautiful, best places. Go to the community. Go to the people where you can talk to the people. Because you go to the States and they say, don't go to Mexico because everybody's killing one each other. Well, we didn't have that before. Now it's happening somewhere in the north side and different other places, and that's like, gangs taking territories over or whatever. But, if you go and do what you need to do, you do it, and it's just like anywhere else, though.
Yeah. If you were going to get out of town for just a day and just leave Vallarta, where would you go?
The most beautiful beach that we have here in Puerto Vallarta is around the corner. That's the pier where all the ships used to come before. And that's the most famous beach of Puerto Vallarta. And it's called Playa de los Muertos, which means the dead beach. Different histories about it. Yeah. But you have it around the corner. You don't have to go any further. Just walk back and forth and talk to people and enjoy life. Yeah. And make sure you put your sandals on. That's it.
There you go.
And your shorts and a t-shirt, and that's all you need. And be normal and enjoy life.
Right on the beach.
And yes.
Have people bring you
go
drinks.
And have breakfast for $3 and another drink for $1 and enjoy life. After that, then you can start thinking about doing something, but what goes around comes around. Yeah. And when you go, you don't take anything with you anyway. So we forget that the richest thing in this life is to be alive and healthy.
Absolutely.
That is priceless. That's what my grandmother used to say. So
Well,
that's something that sometimes we forget, that the richest thing in life is to be alive and healthy.
Agreed. Well, let's go ahead and take a break. We're going to go feed some kids.
And we'll keep going on.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. So from the restaurant, I joined Jorge and his son's girlfriend, and we took a ride in their SUV to out into the boonies to a building, and it was a block construction building, very nicely constructed. Had the Rotary International emblem on the outside. And inside the building, there was a kitchen. There was a little room there. There were a few other rooms as well. And people were gathered out there to wait for their food, which we, of course, the volunteers, were getting ready to dole out to them. There were, what kind of food was there? There were tacos rolled up there. There was fruit, there were bananas. There was all kinds of food. And before they were served, before lunch, George asked those waiting to thank each volunteer by name. So he would say thank you to Barry, and then they would say thank you, Barry, and then so on, and say thank you to so and thank you to so and so, which was a good thing. Every one of the volunteers was acknowledged. A nice touch. And then the people we fed came with their own plates, and then we would fill them up with food as they filed on, and then they would go off and eat. And then after all the food was gone, out came suitcases filled with discarded clothing. And then again, the people lined up, and they got a chance to choose an article or two of clothing. Now, I was told by one of the volunteers, because I was a little concerned that there wasn't enough clothing for like some of the younger boys there. There was a lot of clothing for girls, for ladies, a lot of baby clothes and stuff like that, but not a lot, for the boys. These little boys would walk up and they would, get an article of baby clothes. They looked like they didn't know what to do with it. And I was kind of worried about it. And she said, "Don't worry about it. They exchange amongst each other after we leave, so don't worry." Anyway, it was interesting. And then when all the clothes were gone, then they gave away the suitcases too. Then we cleaned up the kitchen, and we hopped back in the SUV, and we took off to another place. Now, this place was also very nice. It was also built with funds from Rotarians and other Rotary clubs. And it was a daycare center for some mentally retarded kids and young adults. So Jorge showed me around, introduced me to the wonderful people who were working with these kids. And he spent some time joking with the kids who all seemed to know him and all seemed to really like him. And then we took off looking for ice cream. And this gave me a chance to interview George while we were in the car. So, I'm always pulling out this microphone, and I got to tell you, most people, they go, "Oh God, he's got the microphone again." Anyway, this gave me a good chance, like I said, to get him right there in the car where he couldn't get away from me. So let's go right now to that conversation. We have just gotten done feeding the kids, and we have just gotten done leaving that place, the facility for the mentally retarded kids. Let's go right now. We were just at this Rotary built facility, actually two of them. So tell us a little bit about that first one we visited.
Oh, the first one we visited is being used for the last 7 years after we were at the church property where they allow us to be there for 10 years and we lasted 12. So this other place belongs to the municipal government, and they allow to use it for 30 years as long as it's used for the services. And the other one we just came in with the disabled kids is called Proyecto Amigo. Look at that, we have a new store coming up in there.
Look at that, you got another Woolworth.
Yes, you don't see it in the States anymore, but they are growing up in here. Interesting. Anyway, the other one is called Proyecto Amigo, Proyecto Pitillal Apoyo a un Amigo, and that's the one for the disabled kids. And it was built for that purpose, so we can help the mamas while they go to work, have someone to take care of the disabled kids. And that one is being built by the club, by other part members like Santa Barbara Sister Cities and different other people that have been. Navy League has been involved in there too with the painting and the maintenance of the building and everything else in there too. So it's been backed up and sponsored by different people.
Okay, now that first facility, we went and with a bunch of volunteers, we fed a bunch of people. and handed out clothes and toys and stuff like that. Where does the funding come from that?
For the food,
Yeah.
who do you think?
All right. See, I just had to ask there, George. All right. So how about the clothing and stuff? Where does that come from?
The clothing comes from different visitors that they have been in the services center there before, and some of them that come from different places in Canada with the WestJet. They usually carry a second luggage, and they don't charge. The airlines don't charge for it as long as they know that you are going to be delivered to the community services.
So those of you who take WestJet and you've got some discards, you've got some clothing. What kind of clothes are they looking for?
Any kind of clothing. A lot of them, they bring the kits that they don't use or they don't need anymore. They bring it over and then we handle it out. Some of them, they bring half use or new utilities or clothing, and then we handle it to them.
It could be any kind of clothes. It can be kids' clothes. It can be adult clothes, because we've got kids and adults out there, don't we?
Yes, it can be any kind of clothing, shoes, anything that, they don't need anymore, they can use it in here. Nothing goes to waste.
Who are these people? Who are these people that are coming to this facility?
They are the neighbors that live around the neighborhood, but a lot of them come from different other states or even other countries, Central South America. And we just been feeding them for a long time. There is sometimes in the high season when there is some retired teachers that they come and teach the kids and their utilities and different other educational things in there.
I noticed that there were a lot of, ladies there. There weren't a lot of men there. Are they mostly single women there?
Yes, a lot of them. Most of them are single, and sometimes you see 2, 3 men, 4, but not too many of them. Most of them are kids, girls, and ladies.
All right, so this is a great opportunity for you to do some help. And as Jorge said, they'll take anything, right? Just so.
Right.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about your the Rotary Club that you belong to. It's the Puerto Vallarta Rotary Club? Or?
It's called Puerto Vallarta Sur, because there is another club called Puerto Vallarta. Therefore, ours is called Club Rotario Puerto Vallarta Sur.
Okay. And
South.
So
And we meet once a week at the Hotel Marriott at 9 o'clock in the morning. We also do the Board of Directors meeting at Andales, and we start at 8:30 in the morning for 1 hour. All the members are welcome to, and that's where the decisions are made as far as the programs that we do have go on and do different things. We have a lot of some of the members that are from the States or Canada, and they work hard, and they help us, to deliver the water filters with the match grounds that we work together with the other districts in the States or Canada. And it's been a very successful programs that we've been assisting the communities with the filters, water filters, for drinking water. Cancer, with the kids, we have a group of kids that they come once a year or even twice a year from different places. We feed them, but we also pay for their education. Or we find a sponsor that will keep them going, as well as the regular students. We started it with a school not too far away from here called Paso Ancho. They were teaching under the mango trees with no sewer system, no bathrooms, no shelter. So we as a club started it together with the sister club at Sebastopol, California. We went and built the bathrooms first, and then we built one of the classrooms, and one of the club members, that is an engineer, he used to go and build it in the days that the kids' parents didn't go to work, like late in the afternoon, or else it was Saturday afternoon and Sunday. So we all pulled some money together and went and built a school that is there. Right now it handles 120 students, and they're supposed to be having the best grades of the region with the teachers in there. So it is quite impressive. So we started it, and there I noticed 20 years ago that the kids that finished primary school were not going to go to secundaria because the parents didn't have the money for the uniforms and utility, even if it was government schools. So we step in and we start with 4 best grade students. It was 2 girls and 2 boys. So I took them to the store. I talked to the parents, and I pay for the utilities, uniform, and all that. At that time came into about $190 per each one of them. So we start with those 4. Then we noticed that the year coming was going to be a lot of them that they were going to drop school, and we couldn't afford to have them lose the education. So we went and got the lawyer, the notary, the neighbor, the other neighbor, and we got another bunch of kids going. And now we have, started from there, we have close to 600 scholarships in secundaria, university, college. And the purpose of the sponsor is they adapted the student until they finish the university. And it's been a success. It's a different program of becas. We call it becas, which is the scholarship, but it has been very successful because we have found some sponsors like we had Mr. Hank Hendricks that was born in in Holland, and then he moved to Canada. He passed away 2 years ago, but he donated $1 million to the Rotary Foundation. He's still assisting and helping us with 35 students, along with the club in Edmonton, Canada. The club puts half of the money, and he puts the other half of the money. Some of those students, half of them are already finished university. He's gone, but the students are still getting the benefit. So I think it's a beautiful, emotional, and important program that we've been working together.
I'd say. You were telling me earlier that your club was instrumental in bringing some internet up into the boonies,
yes,
up in the mountains. How did that go?
That is a community called Las Mesas, and it's a nice, beautiful community up in the middle of the mountains, surrounded by pine trees there. And this visitor that came in from Chicago, one time his wife wasn't feeling good, and he decided to take the bus and rode the bus until the bus ended it in the middle of nowhere. And he was a teacher. So he went and started talking to the schools in a place called Llano Grande, which is one of the communities up in the middle of nowhere there. And he liked that kind of tour that he did by himself. So the next day he asked his wife, hey, we got to go back in there. So they went back in there, and that's how we started it, working on the match ground to bring the educational antenna for this community. So we were together on it. We also brought them water filters and also a plant, we call it planta de agua de tratamiento, that purifies the water for their community there. So we did that 3 weeks ago. And they were very happy, very pleased. It was a group of them that came in. And that is a match ground that it took us 3 years, to work together on it, to build it. Due to that, the representative of another community there said to us that they will come up with half of the cost of the other 2 antennas, and we will help with the other 50%. So it's been a success. Now they get educational through Wi-Fi. And it's also for emergencies, very important.
Yeah, you're way up there. You're nowhere, right? How long does it take to get up there?
It takes 2.5 hours. Now, before it used to take us 4 hours because it used to be dirt road. Still a dirt road, but it's half of the way already, being paved, and it's getting in better condition now. But the thing is, if we help those kids in there, I informed the sister city members of Santa Barbara. They always stay across from Andales at the Hotel Los Arcos there. And they had a meeting that we were invited to that, was between the sister cities. And I informed them, we had 4 students here, and look at them. They used to clean floors. They used to sweep floors. They used to do the laundry. They used to clean the pool. Now they are here in the front desk. They speak 2 languages, Spanish and English. And look at them. They are serving you now. thanks to the education that you provide them to. Look at them now. Their life has changed. So they were impressed to see, how those kids that didn't have an opportunity before, now they do. And if we bring the educational up to the communities that are farther away, well, they're going to become professionals. They're going to have a better chance, a better opportunity, a better job. And we had this other place called the Canopy, where they have a hanging bridge that's supposed to be the highest, tallest hanging bridge in the world. And we sponsor all the father kids of those community there. Now, if you go to this place, most of the kids speak excellent English, and they are handling the job of talking to the tourists, to the visitors in English, and doing the best services they can. So that tells you that education is very important. Education is what is going to get everyone else ahead. He was a retired teacher that survived of cancer. And she said that the most powerful arm and the best weapon to change ourselves and the future generation was, and it is, education, education, and education. And I think she was right.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and you got lots of proof. If somebody wants to join, how many members you got over there at the Rotary Club?
I think there is about close to 50 of us.
If somebody wanted to join, how do they do that?
Very simple. They just have to qualify for it, and that's it. They pay the dues, and has to be invited by one of the other members. But I think half of them are from the States and Canada. The members that we have, or we formed the club of Puerto Vallarta Sur.
Well, I imagine that if someone was a Rotary member in the States or was a Rotary member in Canada, they certainly would love to become a Rotary member here in Vallarta.
Some of them are Rotary members here. And some of them are from Canada, some of them are from other places. Like we have Sandra from Alaska, we have, what's his name, Jim Weber from Saskatchewan, Canada. That I met him through Andales. And then I told him, I have something for you to do. What? I said, well, we need to get these kids going with education. Now he's helping sponsoring 150 from the district club in his area there in Saskatchewan, Canada. And then Sandra from Alaska is assisting us also with about another 100. And she just went and talked to the other members of the place where she stayed in the vacation hotel, swimming pool. And then she started informing them, hey, there is an opportunity for you to sponsor a kid. And everybody say, hey, I sponsor one. Some of them, they take 2 kids because when they come, the purpose is to follow up and build a relation. They have to send the information every year as far as education, grades, and how they are doing in school. And then when they come, they get invited to their homes. It was this lady from Atlanta. She came in, she said, they invite us to eat the fresh homemade tamales. My God, I didn't think it was so hard to make them. But the fact that they share time together in their community home, the house may not be the best, but the way they match and they start getting together and talking to each other become like a family. And that is quite impressive, how a lot of the sponsors and the students get together and work very well.
Right, because now they got something in common, and then they probably spend some time together, obviously.
That's right, and they feel so proud.
I imagine that you are not adverse to having other Rotary clubs maybe put together some sort of a program and put something together and send someone down and with a suitcase full of cool stuff, right?
Oh yes, we can always figure out a way to work together and different projects that we have.
All right, so let's get off of all this great volunteer work.
Your wife is coming in tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you have her come over Wednesday morning to have some coffee in Chilaquiles, all right?
Okay, I can do that.
And then we can take it from there.
Excellent. All right. So, my wife arrived, and she and I, on Wednesday morning, took a walk over to Andales to join George for breakfast and to finish up the interview. We sat down with him and a couple other people outside on the sidewalk. They have outdoor sidewalk seating, nice little section to go. And when you're having breakfast, there's no better place to be than right out there having breakfast right on Olas Altas. But sitting there was amazing. I mean, you just sit back and you just watch George take charge. This guy is a master. This guy should be the mayor of Puerto Vallarta. Everybody knows him, and he seems to know everybody. Now, I had to cut some portions of this interview off because it was just too long. But don't worry. Now, it's long enough, okay? Now, there was a squeaky fan overhead. So I did a pretty good job of editing out about half of that noise, but there's still some of it there, so I'm sorry about that, you guys. I couldn't get it all out. But it's very listenable, and you should really enjoy this conversation. He's all over the place, so I'm just letting this roll, you guys. Let's go right now. Let's join the conversation. And as we join the conversation, George is telling us about a wallet that was turned in by one of his waiters. So let's go there and listen.
What a life. So anyway, this waiter gave me the wallet that had about $700-800 on it. And I called all the hotels. Nobody answered. So I had it there for 2 weeks, and I said, well, I went and got a yellow envelope, you know, the big envelopes? I got 2 of them. Buenos días, ¿cómo le va? ¿Cómo le va? Good saludarlo. And put it in there with the name of the license and everything in it, and sent it to, what is the town next to San Bernardino?
Redlands, maybe?
A little bit farther on the top. Redlands? No. Farther up next to San Bernardino.
Like Redlands.
That is Redlands. There is a university there. That's where it was from. So I sent it back. And I said, if you do get it, please inform. Regards, you know, blah, blah, blah. Time went by like 1 month, maybe less, maybe more. I was walking out. When they come and ask me, are you the owner? No way, I'm the guy that mops the floors and the bathrooms. Been doing it for many, many years. Oh, I see. So anyway, she asked me. She had her purse hanging, and she said, are you George? I said, why? It depends why. She looked at me, and then she had me and started crying. I said, oh my God, what did I do to you now, for Christ's sake? She put her hand in the purse and got a newspaper and showed it to me. I started reading the paper. Oh my God. He was only like 26, and they were here in their honeymoon. They went to one of the apartments, and it was in the summertime, and they left the gas on, the stove gas on. Something happened, they didn't close it or whatever. So they never wake up. That's why I couldn't find them in the hotels. And I never had time to look at the newspapers anyway. We're talking about 20 years ago or so. So anyway, good morning. Keep smiling. You'll find it.
I know, right? I lost it all.
Yes, keep smiling. You'll make it. See, this is how we make friends. By the day or two, you know, then we communicate better. Anyway, she said to me, I came in the cruise ship just to thank you. And then she had me again start crying and crying. I said, all right, let's come in and have a seat because you are going to make me cry too. And we sat down, and she said, this is some of the only memories, you know, that I have. So she said I couldn't stay home and just, you know, thank God I need to come and thank you for what you have done. So those are some of the stories, you know, that we have in this place. It's amazing. I'm telling you, George Lucas used to sit in the second table here before he became so famous. Buenos días. ¿Cómo va todo? Sí se vinieron las personas aquí, ¿verdad?
Me están comentando que sí, ahorita fue tocarles y no.
Párate ahí un ratito, brother. That's my baby brother.
Voy a tocarles y no están. Voy a venir a buscar.
Bueno, llévales una canastita de frutas y luego le dices que les vamos les llevas 2 botellas de reserva, una blanca y una ámbar, y que nomás les vas a cobrar una, para que se las lleven de regreso. Okay? She helps us in one of the other buildings here, which is Andales on the Bay. See what a smile face they have. When they are happy, they show it. See? We are not rich. We may not be rich, but we are happy. And that's money payless anyway. So, ándale pues, entonces te encargo que le den continuidad allá al calentón de la alberca. Yes. Ándale pues, está bueno. Gracias. So this is the difference, to be able to communicate with them. And every time I have a meeting with them, tomorrow is Thursday, I'll be having a meeting with them at noon. You're welcome to come and join us. It's open to everybody. And I tell them the volume of a company is not the name of the company, it's the representatives of the company. That we are losing it. Google, everybody else, they are after money. They don't care for the employees as they used to before. I remember when I was in California, anybody that worked for Ford or any company, they made enough money to send the kids to university, pay the house, and make a normal living.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. It is getting too high in price to make a living in there. So I had to sell the property that I had in Westchester and went and bought a property in Texas next to the university. So my kids will go there. And my kids said, never mind, we have another university to go. So here he goes. No? So I'm renting the other one. But the property in Texas costs half less than in California.
Correct. Property taxes in Texas are kind of high.
Yeah,
the property tax.
Yeah. But you got to do what you got to do. The temperature where we were talking in LA, all over in there, is unique, worldwide. I mean, you want to go ski, you go ski. You want to go swimming, you go to the Big Bear Lake.
Yeah.
I remember going to the Big Bear Lake, a long time ago. And then one time I went to Snow Salmon up in the hill, and I never skied before in my life. But at that time I was working in a place called Nantucket Light in Malibu.
Oh, sure.
And all my friends that were going to Pepperdine University, and we were together, they said to me, George, let's go to ski. All right, let's go. We had a day off the next day, most of us. So we took off. And I never been in the skis before in my life. I mean, we don't have snow here. So they were teaching me how, And, I was doing okay. But then I went too fast. I fall off and I dislocate my shoulder.
Oh, no.
That hurt. But when I went to the hospital, I see a lady that had a broken leg, and she was there fine, normal. And I couldn't even see the pain. I said, this is not... Hey, thank you very much on behalf of those kids. I'm telling you. So anyway, it was a beautiful, beautiful experience, I'm telling you.
Tell me about that, the apartments that you have, that you rent.
When we started in there, we used the same stone that came off the mountains. And some of the workers that were working here, they go and help there to make extra money. Don Jose Wet His Donkeys was the main one. Are you okay? All right. You want to come and join us? You want to come and join us?
I'm just waiting for my dog.
Well, so what? Come in and join us, please. We are friendly. They've been coming for many, many years. Oh, I'm telling you, they go in the bar, dance on the bar, get everybody crazy, get everybody going. And this is the people that have been coming for many, many years. So that's why they call it a neighborhood bar. They ride the donkey. We had the parade, the Mardi Gras parade. Guess who was on the donkey? Marsha, the lady from San Diego, and they were with them too. The donkey had flowers all over around, and oh my God, it was something else. Very impressive, and how simple we can just have fun. Not only that, but you come and have a margarita here, I'm going to have them too. Mira, tráeme 2 margaritas en las rocas, por favor. They're excellent. And they go for $1 or $2.
No, Andale. All right. Okay. Ahorita está bien.
Mira, dame.
Demasiado temprano.
So what? These lemonades are good anyway.
No, she'll be lost for the day.
Dámelas de mango. It's fruit. Good for you, I'm telling you.
All right, let's check it out.
Just a little bit. They don't put a lot of medicine in it. You know, we use less % alcohol on the margaritas. We want people happy, not drunk.
Yeah.
You know, so that way they last and live longer. So, but anyway, there is so many stories on this place. It's amazing. She can tell you, you know. Did you hear what she said? I cannot come early because I close this place every night, you know. So how can they get here early, though?
All right, so get back to my story. Get back to the story about those apartments.
Okay, those apartments. I had one of the guys that hired. He was an architect to start working on the building, and then he was introduced to a nice lady from California by the name Eve. And then they got together and they got married.
Was his name Adam? Never mind.
No, his name was
I had to say.
Carlos,
sorry.
architect. Carlos, he was working with us as a bartender. So he met Eve here. So they got together and they got married.
Okay.
And then he kept working in the apartments. And Don Jose, with his donkeys, he had 3 donkeys, 2 sons. So they pulled the donkey all the way up and down with the materials. One time, this gentleman from San Mateo, California, that owns a shopping center, his name is Wayne Miller. He owns the shopping center in there. When I came here, I asked him that I needed, hola amigo, I needed to have some little bit money in the bank for an emergency. Said I supposed to have a loan coming up from Bank of America, but they told me that it's going to be a week and a half. I'm leaving in the next 3 days. I just want to know what it can be done. He said, George, I'm the chairman of the board. I cannot sign, but my wife can. How do you want the bills? Well, I said, I only want $4,000 in $100 bills. All right, no problem. He called his wife to sign, and then he gave me the money. I had to buy boots so I can put the money in it, you know, because it was not transfers, no travel checks or anything like that at that time, you know. So I put $2,000 in each side of the boots, you know. And here I come. I come here because I already had a place. And then I had informed all the workers to be here on time. No one showed up except Don Jose with his donkey. He brought it in the sun, and we put the sun somewhere in there. And I was so emotional, I said, I already had, you know, dump a piece of wall in here because it was only a little place and 3 steps to get to it. And I said, you know, I'm going to put bars in there so people can think they are in jail, you know, when they are drinking. You get your ideas, you know, going and all that. And then Don Jose said, hey, what about this other side? Let's do it too. Boom, we took the wall up. Then at night time, we had to put a wooden place, you know, because it was open. Nothing. Yeah. Oh, it was such a beautiful story. Anyway, we started it in there. Do you like to have one of those, or what do you like? So what? Have one of those. And you can have one too, but no alcohol in it. It's a mangada. Is that okay? It's good for you. Okay. Mira, tráete otras 2 mangadas aquí para ellos, por favor. Grandpa used to say it's impolite to say no.
Okay,
so
I'll say
what
yes.
can you do? I tell you all the story about my grandfather. So that's how we started it in here.
Yeah.
And since we started, we never stopped. We had a kitchen right here in the back, and it was dust all the time in here, and we always were working in one thing and another thing. When I started going to the neighbor came to me, he said, hey, you are affecting my wall. The wall is about this wide, for Christ's sake, those huge big bricks.
Yeah.
And then I said, really? I didn't even know. And then he said, well, that's not good. I said, no, I don't think it is. But this is very simple. Why don't we flip a coin? I buy you out or you buy me out. I sell you out or you sell it to me. He looked at me, shake his head, and walk out again.
There you go.
And all the neighbors are here. Hey, you're welcome to take a look. If you don't like it, you tell me, all right? And it's a free night. You wait and see. Somebody has to be happy. But look at the atmosphere, you know. Our good friends are here. And we have new, different friends every day. Every day they come from all over. The grandkids come and look for grandpa's or grandma's tile or plate. Look at the plate up in there, J. Dollar. His name is Jesse. Jesse Dollar. He's been coming for 40 years. He's about 8 feet tall. He stay at the house, and he's like part of the family. And then they asked him, Jesse, where do you live? He said, I live in a palace. Because the house is done with the stone wall all over around, the swimming pool and everything in there. And he loves it. So every morning he's there waiting for me, and then I bring them over for breakfast. Jesse and Mama and another sister and part of the family, you know, that we always come in the morning and have breakfast together. There is so many stories. So anyway, those apartments, we start digging. And I hired a professional engineer with a huge big machine that had 10 hoses, you know, to go and perforate and all that. I had given him at that time 50,000 pesos, a fortune to, you know, level the mountain. And then 2 weeks after he came in and he said, George, I ran out of money and I haven't done anything to your mountain. No, but when he started it, the guys from the municipal government came in and said, hey, all the neighbors are in there. And they are complaining that you are going to destroy all their homes, you know, with the dynamite. Luckily, I found another old man by the name Don Baudelio from Mascota. And he had a little jackhammer that he had bought from Holland or somewhere. And then he will go and take, put the dynamite and cover it. Yeah. That old man and then I put 2 guys to help him out. That old man went after the whole mountain, you know, without making too much noise. Right. Then the pool, when I met some of the workers that are still here, the night manager was a little kid carrying bags of cement back and forth. Well, they did a swimming pool with the chaser and the hammer, you know, because of the stone. Right. At that time, labor was nothing. Right. So it was emotional. When I finished the first unit, I went to Guadalajara and I told Mama, I have your house ready for you. She said to me, when do you think I'm going to go to Puerto Vallarta? You know, she was in Guadalajara raising the rest of my brothers, going to school back and forth and here and there. And then Papa always used to say, son, it's God and business and God. You can go to work for a company while you learn how to go on. But, hey, buenos días, gusto en saludarlos, bienvenido.
We didn't like it.
Now you have to have a free compliment drink. How's that?
So do they run by the day or the week?
By the day, by the week. You tell them and they'll have it ready for you. No problem.
How much by the week?
Half less than the hotel.
Less.
Yes, half less.
Is it online where you can check it?
Yes.
Okay. Gracias.
Here, let me give you a business card, all right? And then you check on the web page. You sure you don't want to have a nice compliment lemonade? Have a seat for a minute. What's the rush?
Okay.
Dame 2 margaritas de mango, por favor, aquí para mis compadres.
Gracias.
Please, have a seat.
Okay.
Sí, pero dámele 2 margaritas de mango, por favor, y un panecito o algo. See? What goes around comes around. It's just like in New York. The Mafian guys used to say, I make you an offer you cannot refuse. But this is fun. You enjoy it. You know, being able to make somebody else happy is painless. It's painless because they come here and some of them, a lot of them are by themselves. We have a lot of single ladies in here. Look at her. See? Look at her smile. I'm telling you, when we met her 40 years ago, she used to be normal. Look at her now.
I know, right?
That old woman.
Hey, stop that. All right, so you invited your mom to come. Did she finally get here?
And then she said, I don't know when I'll go there, son. Well, time went by, and about 10 years later, she decided to come. And then she spent like 4 months. Then she went back. And then Guadalajara was getting too crowded and traffic and all that. So she decided to come back. And then she used to go to the butcher store or to the market. and said to the butcher, I want this much and this much. And you know what the butcher guy said? He gave it twice as much as what he asked. And then when she wanted to pay, he said to my mom, listen, I'll talk to your son later. I'll charge to your son later. Please go. My mother was so pissed off. I hated it. You know, I wanted to pay. Then she's working in the street with the big bags, you know, when she was younger. And there is so many people that knows me, they stop and bring her home. She said, I hated it. I want to do exercise, you know. I want to do it myself, for Christ's sake. Yeah. They said, all right, I'm going to take you home. How can you say no? Yeah, exactly. Now you ask her if she wants to go back to Guadalajara. She said no. Uh-huh. So it's a beautiful, beautiful stories that, you know, we have had here. And we have met so many people, and so many people have met in this place. It's unbelievable.
If somebody wanted to rent a place, how would they do it?
They just have to see me and catch me sober. And they get half of the price.
So it's available.
Somebody up there is going to say, I think I like that guy.
Well, they'll say it all right. Believe me. All right, so I'll have a link to being able to do that in the show notes for the episode,
sure.
Okay? All right, cool.
So anyway, we build those apartments in there, and they're nice because they are built with the same stone that came off the mountain. And a lot of them have arches. And you know how hard it is to make the stone work in a corner. Sometimes they had to use 3 stones because right before they finish, it breaks. Yeah. So they have to get another one and make it with a hammer. So they put it on in there. We had a gentleman from Vancouver Island, but he was a Russian descendant. He was with us for 23 years. And when he came in, it was a lady that came in to clean the neighbor's house with 2 baby girls and 1 baby boy. The neighbor wasn't there. So Marian's wife said, why don't you come and clean mine? And she said, but what about my kids? Never mind, bring the kids over here. She said, and start drawing and coloring with the kids. Those kids were taking him back and forth, up and down until he was 98. He spoke like 5 or 6, 7 languages. Every year he go back, he cried and went to my mother and give her a hug. I don't know if I'm going to make it next year. But he never told us our age, but he was like 98 or 90-something. His wife passed away 10 years before him. And he was here every year and stayed here for 8 months. And those kids were taking him back and forth all over around. Wow. He called them the grandkids. Yeah. And the kids call him Grandpa. You can see the old man going up the stairs because I didn't have an elevator. Now we are working in one because my mother said, I don't want no elevator here. It's bad luck, and I'm not going to get in it. So I had to hide the elevator for 10 years in a warehouse. Now I convince her again, now we're going to install the elevator in there. But it's beautiful stories, you know, how every people is so friendly, is so nice, and how many people have met in this place from all over. Yeah. I'm telling you, George Lucas used to sit in the second table as you go in. That was 22 years ago, before he became famous. He was just another guy like us. Nice man, very quiet and very reserved, you know. He wasn't too noisy or anything like that. The most important thing is we communicate to one each other, regardless what we look like. So there is so many stories in here, it's amazing. So next time you come to Puerto Vallarta, don't rush. Come and stay at the palace, Jesse's Palace. Jesse's 86 or 85, I think. And it's been coming for many, many years. There is another tile on the other side with a hat, and it says Jose. His name is Joe from Seattle, Washington. Another old man that has been coming for like 40, 50 years. This last year, he came in and hugged me. But before he left, he said, George, what the hell have you been? I've been carrying this goddamn tile with me all over because I don't trust anybody here. There is another little tile on the other side by the elevator, and there a small one. And he wanted to make sure that his name was there. He left his hat here once, and I said, and we're going to put it as a souvenir. He put it in the roof, and it lasted about 6 months. Somebody took it. Anyway, He said, I've been carrying this cotton tile with me because I want to make sure I give it to you, not to these guys. I said, all right, let's come in and have a seat. Okay, so he pulled his walker on it. We sat down to have a cup of coffee and something to eat. He never want to eat. I said, well, I'm not asking you. You have to be smart and polite. It's unpolite to say no. Okay, George, I'll eat it. You know, you become older, you become stubborn, you know, so you have to follow up. So anyway, we put a tile there while he was sitting.
Excuse me, sir, let you know how to forgive him and I got him a water.
A ver, no ande pidiendo. Vaya allá adentro, ahí le dan unos tacos. Dámele unos tacos aquí al señor, por favor.
Thank you.
Pase adentro, ándele pues. We don't have money, but we have food. Very simple. So, I was informing you about what was it? I forgot.
You were talking
They put the tile on when he was
Oh, okay. And the next day we had a priest from Santa Barbara mission that came in. We're sister cities with Santa Barbara. So he was staying here with us. And then I introduced him to Joe. And the priest from Santa Barbara said, I never seen a place with so much love. This place is full of love. And then after I introduced them, they start talking to one each other, and then Joe asked him, because Joe used to be a police officer or something in the government. He said, do you know the priest of the cathedral in Seattle, Washington? His name is such and such. Yes, we went to seminar together. Well, I used to cut the hair at that son of a bitch. I used to sit him in a higher chair so I can, reach to cut his hair. He said, oh my God. What a small world,
Yeah, for sure.
And there is so many stories. He didn't want to go back, the priest, but he had to go celebrate the celebration, inauguration of the mission or something. It's one of the oldest mission in California. And he had to go, but he didn't want to go back. He really enjoyed it. And there is so many stories, so many people. It was another gentleman by the name John. He was here every morning at 7 a.m. in the morning or before. And he sat at the table right next to us on that table. One time he said, George, I'm going to bring out my cherry tomorrow. Cut this cutting table off and take it with me, because sometimes I'm coming, somebody else is taking it. He was from San Jose. Taste it. It's current. Taste it. It's very good. Cut it with a fork or with a spoon and try it. It's very, very good.
Funny.
And it's done with a little bit of cognac and honey. It's very good. So anyway, there is so many stories. And this John, he passed away 8 months ago or so. He wasn't feeling good, so I called his sister, sent him all back to the States, got taken care of it, and then he came back like 3 weeks after. Or 3 weeks. He said, George, they had me to wait for another week because they want to review my passport. To hell with the passport, I don't need it anymore. I'm not going back. That's it. And he had a nice, beautiful young Mexican lady with him. His wife passed away like 10 years before. And he enjoyed life. He was here every single day. And there is so many of them. There is another one that the picture is somewhere in there. His name was Reno. He lived in Hillsborough, California. He went to Second World War. He had a fake eye. And he was here all year around too. And he go all over around, but he spent a lot of time here. One time it was a lady that had a big butt, and he said, George, I wish I can rent that. I'm tired of sitting in here and I don't have anything to sleep with. You think I can talk to her? I said, sure, why not? So I went and told her, hey, listen, I mean in a nice way.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, I keep that in consideration. Oh, man, I love it, Reno said. But he had a dog. I forgot the name of the dog. The dog used to sit in the corner. And, mira, tráeme uno de los cuadros que estaban allá arriba, por favor. Y denle un cafecito aquí al señor. I'll show you his picture. He was a Second World War. Anyway, he was sitting in there, and then they used to call the dog. Mo, I think he was the name. Mo, you want a drink? Mo will wake up from the corner, clean up his mouth with his tongue. He will go to the seat and put the hands on the bar. Then they bring an ashtray and put a little cream and a little bit of Kahlua in it. And then he'll go and drink everything up, clean himself up, look at everybody and said, wow, And then he goes back to the corner. It was so funny. It was this nice lady from California, I think it was Beverly Hills, came in and sat there. Well, nice, beautiful jewelry and everything. And they start talking back and forth and here and there. And then she said to Reno, can you please keep your eye on my purse? I'm going to the ladies' room. Oh, no problem. She went to the ladies' room, and then she take the fake eye and put it on the bar, you know. So she comes back to get his drink and see the eye. Por nada, señor, que le vaya bien. And you're welcome. Look forward to see you again. One of these days will keep you longer. You never know. Otro. Está el otro que está ahí. See? That was 32 years ago.
Look at you, man. You look like a boy.
The guy still here. His name is Juan. This is my brother. And this is a nice lady from Oregon. But that was, a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
Quite interesting. So the pictures are still there. Why don't you see the other one in there? Yeah, that was a little while ago. That was when I first came back from California. That's a guy from Santa Barbara, California. He gives a job to more than 500 Mexicans. He has a company called the Berryman. And he has a nice home right next to the boardwalk. Look.
Oh, that's a dog.
Reno. And the other guy next to him is David Lilly. He's a retired general from the army.
Papito!
Hey, amigo de la montaña. Listen.
All right.
Anyway, this, Pedro, ¿cómo va todo? This was named Lilly. He was here for like 20 years. He came every morning. He was in charge of everything. When anybody asked me, what is the owner? I said, he's right there sitting in there. He kind of liked it. Hola, buenos días. ¿Cómo estás? Good saludarte. So anyway, this is Reno, and that's his dog. Look at the dog at the bar drinking his drink.
Having his blue and cream. Huh?
That's 30 years ago. Oh, it was quite funny then. Quite interesting. He was here every single day, I'm telling you. Dave, Liddy, and Reno. And the dog had an eye missing too. It was so funny.
They belonged together, didn't they?
Oh, there is so many stories like that. It's just amazing. It's unbelievable, though. It is amazing.
Well,
so many people that have come through, and they feel this place is their second home. And anything happen, I don't see them. Hey, you are late. I didn't see you yesterday. What's going with you? I'm sorry, George. I gotta go to somewhere. So they come back and keep going on their own regular neighborhood bar place. So quite interesting. You know how he started his business. This is very important and very experience for anybody else. He's another human being just like anybody else. But he went to the field and got 10 boxes of strawberries. And then he started selling it in the restaurants. The next day he did the same thing, trae unas copitas. Did the same thing. The next week he did the same thing. Now he has like 5-6 Mexicans working for him. And he has 3 big stores.
240.
What?
240.
240. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? The rest of it are Americans.
No, because some are. I have Colombian and Venezuela, so I'm not going to come.
But anyway, he has 3 nice places, one in Santa Maria, one in Santa Barbara, and the other one in Oxnard. And the company is called the Berryman. And then he just bought a nice home that I told my kids, he taught my kids how to go and invest in stocks. And I told him, he had buy a house up in Santa Barbara that cost $2 million. He said, no. It cost $6 million. So, and it's up in the middle of somewhere in the hills that is beautiful. And he spent another fortune in there, changing all the tile, building the stone wall, the waterfall. It's supposed to be a replica of somewhere in Europe. That the guy that was making another Mexican, he said, I've been working on that for over a year. And we haven't finished. It is finished now? You hear that?
I have only 3 guys working. So, they work 6 days a week, 3 guys, and they cut stone by
This must
hand.
be a beautiful waterfall.
Well, the waterfall is not finished. The content is almost finished.
But the neighbor, they're not happy, man. I tell you, bang, bang, bang. The neighbor are like, oh, my.
Como aquí.
And then Eric has a company of electrician there. So
Thank you, sir.
he's doing all the electricity in my house too. In the backyard.
Anyway, I've been invited to his house, and he gave me the combination and the key. So every time I want to go, anytime, during the day, during the night, I know how to get into it.
Look at you.
So, lucky friend. Then he had a Maserati. We went there once, and he handed me the key. Here, so you can try the Maserati. What do you think I have a chauffeur for? So he shook his head. We went up to the middle of the mountains, and they're beautiful. Then we took, the transportation bus that goes from the ground to the sea. We were in it, and something happened that didn't go, so we came back again, and we have parked in somebody else's place, and it was only for 4 hours or 2 hours. So when we came back, we had a friend that had rented a car. So the lady that was giving the tickets had said, we come from Puerto Vallarta. We are sister cities with Santa Barbara. You're doing a beautiful job. You have a beautiful job, and you got to do what you got to do. We are sorry that we are here, and I think we overdid it with 5 minutes. He said, okay, I'm going to take the ticket off this one, but I'm not going to take it off that one. I think if I kept talking, maybe, but I said, it cost me $250, the ticket.
Yeah.
I think.
No, at least.
So
they like to add on too, for sure. How do people find your place in Puerto Vallarta? How would they find it?
No, very simple. They talk to one each other. Everybody knows where we're at. When you get lost, just tell them to bring you here, and everybody knows where it's at. And the donkey's here every single night. You got to come back and see the donkey at 7:30 and ride it. This is the low season, but in the high season, when everybody's dancing in there, they have to move so the donkey can go in. And then on the way back, the lady puts the teacher up, and everybody looks at the donkey. So you got to come and find out. It's very simple.
Well, I remember in the old days, they used to have the Andale with the shirt up.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, the poppers, and they would give the girl a shot, and then up would go the top, and Andale. I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, the shot came after the top.
Between this and this?
Okay.
Now you're making tequila, right? What are you making?
The family is the 4th generation making it. Mira, Guillermo. Hola, Bento, comadre. Guillermo. They only made. They only made 900 bottles of this. This is my wife's father's name.
Ruben.
And they only made 900 bottles. We only have 3 left. Everybody that tasted it, they came back and took it.
Wow.
So you got to have a little sample.
Am I going to test it?
Yes. Yes, that's what I brought it for.
Wow.
All right. So this is very special, and I had a gentleman that came in yesterday, and
Liar. You've been doing it for 5 days.
ahorita te lo firmo, comadre.
Here, you want me to put that?
Zambrano, you have cigarro?
Of course, I'll get them for you. But this is very special. Next year is going to be better. There is only the 12 barrels they brought in from Hungary.
Really?
Yes.
That's it. Hey, it must be fuerte or
it is a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Is that reposado or
I only
añejo?
like reposado.
It's reposado. This is
The Hungría?
the wood barrels
the barrels.
were brought in from there.
Oh, that's magnificent.
See?
Magnificent.
It's better than cognac.
It's smooth like silk.
Old cognac bird.
Right.
It's good, isn't it? I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's excellent.
So you could do it like him here. We just got it all sitting here.
Oh, we sit all day for 3 days. And
Oh, me sitting in there.
I have 3 dogs.
Sana Vagana.
Man, I'll tell you.
It's a pressure.
It's exploding around here.
If it's not the same in one, imagine what's going to happen.
I had nephews in Lompo, California, and they commercialize wooden barrels. So they brought in 1 dozen from Hungary. They brought in and they filled with the tequila. So this is the way it came out. Next year is supposed to be better. But you don't find it again. It's like wine, you know. You get 1 edition a year and that's just the way it is.
Wow.
But it's good, isn't it?
It's excellent.
All right. So do you produce some for the house? Do you produce some that you do here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Yes. Listen,
How much you sell it? Just to know.
they go for 1,300 pesos. Big deal, $55 or something like that. But I had a gentleman that was here, and I had a bottle they brought me as a present, the Bucana's 1,800 years old. We opened it up, tasted it, and I did too. Then we opened the Martel, tasted it, and then we tried this one. And guess what? Everybody went for this one.
Winner.
They went for this one. The other one was on the little sweeter side. This one is natural, organic. I mean, I'm telling you, 900 bottles were gone in 3 months. Oh, mira, dame una cajetilla de cigarros, por favor, ¿sí?
No, she can go buy me.
No, we'll get it. Sí,
No,
dile que
no,
me dé unos cigarrillos de ahí,
Same,
por
by
favor.
my own.
Eh? That's okay. That's all right. Listen, Grandpa used to say you gotta treat them the way you wish to be treated. And when I go to his house, I'm telling you, he get the French bread from somewhere in there, the cheese, the brie cheese, and the fruit. Oh my God, I can stay there all day and all night, you know.
He has probably the best cheese, you know.
Well, the bread, and you know the bread comes from Canada, and the bread comes from Canada, right? You hear that? Selling French bread from Canada and the U.S.
In the U.S. That's so wrong.
You have the
That's so
fleur
wrong.
de lis.
It's the best because you can bake
You have
it.
the fleur de lis. Certainement.
It is very, very good.
So this has been really great talking with you. You've got so many stories. Your place is it's iconic, right? It's the place that people come to gather, to party, to reunite. Is there anything that you want to add before we say goodbye today?
Yes. Wherever anybody is, if they like to become normal and happy, come over and see us. If it doesn't work, we'll take him for a ride on the donkey. That changed the whole thing. I'm not kidding you.
I believe it.
But you know, the nicest thing about it, you haven't been up to the mountains. There is so many people over there around there, I don't remember them. They remember me. Everybody. Because we help everybody. I'm telling you, I was sitting here with the mayor once, and it was full. And there is a lady holding the shoulder of a kid. And then he's screaming, you know, when they cannot see, their voice become wider or louder. And she's right over here and said, "Hey, is Mr. George in here? I heard that he helps everybody and I need to talk to him, you know." So the waiter came in and said, "He's busy right now, but can you please wait a little bit and then he can be with you?" "Oh, yes, I have all day, no problem, I can wait for him." Then the mayor said, "I think they're looking for you." "Oh, can you hear it?" So I said, "Señora, come over here." So she came into the table, close to the table. I put my hand on her shoulder and I said, "Tell me, what can I do for you?" Then she went and had me and started crying. "Oh my God, what did I do to you?" "Well, they said you help everybody and I wanted to know if you can help me. I cannot see and I need some help with my kids." I said, "Okay, you are going to sit in the other table to have something to eat, and then I will give you the card where you can go and have your eyes taken care of, and then I'm going to need the copy of the qualification of the kid or the 2 kids you have. Bring it over so I can help you out." Okay? She hugged me again and started crying. Then I brought her to the table. She sat there, and then she had a big lunch, and they went away. A month after, I was invited to a celebration of one of the ejido land somewhere in there, and there was too many people there, important people. So I sat here with my friends and there. Then I see someone that comes from behind and hugged me, and I said, oh my God, what did I do now? Well, it was her. She said, my kid told me you were here, and I wanted to come here, and then she started crying again. I said, you are going to make me cry. She said, I just want you to know that now I can see. My kid is going to school. My God, how can you pay this, for Christ's sake? I mean, whatever it was. The doctor called me, you need to pay me this much. I said, no problem. And there is so many stories like that, some people think they're miracles. Well, it's just the way we work, the way things go on, Yep. You want to sip a little bit of this, so you can taste it.
Should try it.
Préstame dos vasos, por favor. And taste it, because this is very important. I'm telling you, it's exceptional. Yesterday, it was another guy from, I'm going to put a little bit, from Texas. He came in and took case of this, and the amber bottle, and another bottle of this. It's unique. And you can tell.
Very good.
And you can drink the whole bottle, you don't get a headache, or you don't get a hangover.
Just get happy.
Well, this is cognac. This is to sip on it with a cup of tea, with a cup of coffee.
Medicine.
That's how we call it, medicine. Everybody calls it medicine. So when you hear anybody getting sick, bring them over.
Yeah, you should
cure
see
them
all,
out.
this place is full of sick people.
On the head.
Jorge, thank you so much for inviting me to Andales and allowing me to introduce my listeners to you, sir, and to your place. I appreciate it.
Will be nice if you give the message to everybody else that sometimes, they got to look at the watch because they have to make a living. But they also have the right, the reason to be somewhere where people live normal. Look, we have sandals, and we're worth it the same. And people go by here holding hands. Well, so what? They are human beings. Some of them, they go by and I tell them, hey, can you walk straight? They come back and then they face me. They say, can you teach me how? I said, be here tomorrow. Well, I'm going to try. So what? I mean, everybody's, sometimes they're working on the other sidewalk. They cross over here to come and say bye or hi or something, There is another older guy with a dog, and I said, listen, I remember when you used to be normal. You didn't talk to the dog. Now the dog talks to you. Yeah, that's thanks to you. Oh, I'm telling you. The day goes by, they said if I had an office, I said I cannot afford to have one. This is my office here,
This is the best
Hey, you are late today, Mago. ¿Cómo estás? Sí. Ya ves? He's a magician. That's why he doesn't want anybody to know.
Keep it under our hats.
All right. Ya le quitó el letrero.
Well,
he's from California.
You say that he's a magician, but you, sir, you are the magician. You're the thing that makes it happen. You make the magic happen in Puerto Vallarta. And thank you. Thanks for talking with me, man.
Well, it is a pleasure. We have a plate up in the second level of the mayor of Vancouver, Washington. He made 2 plates. He said, I'm going to keep one here and I'm going to take the other one to my office in Vancouver, Washington. Sure. We were sitting in the balcony, and then Bruce comes out of the store with a bunch of bananas, and I said, look at Bruce. He ran for a mayor in Santa Barbara. Look at him. Shorts, not shirt, not shoes, and a bunch of bananas. So we were sitting up there, and then I called him up, Bruce, hey, George, how are you? Fine, thank you. What are you up to? He said, I'm just getting something to keep me busy. Where I'm going to the beach. I'll see you later. I said, come over here for a minute. Okay. So he came up, and I introduced him to Team 11. His name is Bruce. The other one from California. So I introduced him back and forth here and there, and then he left. George, I cannot sit here because I don't have a shirt and shoes, and I don't have time to go get him. So I got to go. All right. Tim Levitt from Vancouver, Washington, younger man, said, you know what? I think I'm in the wrong way. I'm going to come back and just be normal. Look. Only shorts. I told him, I'm going to buy you some pants on Christmas. He said, George, the last ones that I had, I gave it away 20 years ago.
No one wants to be normal, Jorge. Nobody, George.
So we just got to respect everyone, no matter what they look like, no matter where they come from. Look at Dennis. He just came in yesterday. The first thing he did, he came in and say hi. And I know if someone called me or he needs anything, I'll be there, and vice versa. Very simple. What goes around comes around. So, adios, amigo. So it's very simple, but I'm glad you came in because one thing is to talk about it, and another thing is to see it physically. That makes the difference. And I'm gonna take you for 2 minutes so you can see some of the suites and find out why they live such a beautiful places in front of the water, Grand Tourism Hotel, 5-star hotels to come here and get breakfast for $4. Fresh, homemade. That is the difference on it. So when you go back, people appreciate when you tell them the truth. When you go to Puerto Vallarta, go to this area because it's in a walking distance to anywhere you want to go. It is beautiful places. They can go 3-4 days, to the beautiful paradise somewhere in there, and then come back and walk back and forth and be normal. There is so many places they can go, and the prices are very normal too. They are not overpriced. So share that with everybody else that sometimes they want to go somewhere, but they don't know where. And then they go and tell them, hey, listen, don't go to Mexico because they killed you there. Everybody's shooting one each other. There is more accidents in the big cities, in LA and Oakland and New York and Chicago, different other places than it is here, for Christ's sake. So we just got to do the best we can, help one each other, and do the best. Very simple. We're here today. My father used to say, life goes too fast. Might as well enjoy it. That is important.
All right. Well, after the interview, Jorge gave us a tour of the apartments. And all I can say is, wow, they are beautiful and very modern looking. I took lots of pictures, so make sure that you go to the show notes for this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show and take a look and see what I've got. I also have pictures of some of the photos that we were talking about when we were having breakfast, so check those out too. So, wow, what a guy. This guy, he's a rock star in my book. If you live in Vallarta, or if you spend a couple months there every year, maybe you ought to think about joining the Rotary Club and volunteering with Jorge and his merry band of do-gooders. Now, he's a really great guy, and he runs a really great restaurant. It's a fun place where everybody is welcome, where everyone is the same, where everybody, as George would say, is normal. Okay, well, that should do it for this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. And until then, remember, this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, then please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him, right from his website. Remember, it's a value-for-value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying, thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so just do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget his DIY maps, his tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. I have the links to those all in the show notes and all over my website, really. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And remember, I made it easy for you to do that with each episode I create. And if you haven't been to my website, get over there. Really, you need to have a look. I have links to the places where we talk about, interesting pictures, and more. Maps and everything right there in the blog posts and in the show notes for each episode that I create. So check them out already, will you? All right. And thank you so much, Jorge Zambrano. You're an incredible man. Thanks for all you do for our beloved Vallarta. And thanks for your kind hospitality and for talking with us and for taking me along to see what you do, see what your volunteers and your fellow Rotarians do to improve the lives of countless people for education, good works, and deeds. It's just so wonderful to see. So make sure that you all stop into Andales for a fun time, for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and then some dancing and a little singing too, okay? And thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
De Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.